Sairam, welcome to the Sai Dev Talks. This is sixth in the series of talks by the alumni of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Sai Dev Talks is a platform where alumni working in the social and development sector in India and overseas share their experiences and learning. This platform also facilitates networking, sharing of resources, and fostering collaborative initiatives. We have over 160 members, including several who have founded nonprofits and are pursuing bold and often challenging missions to create greater good in society. Today, we are discussing India's dairy industry, which has evolved from being milk deficient to becoming the world's largest milk producer. To dive deeper, we have Dr. V. Sridhar, Senior General Manager, Services, National Dairy Development Board. He has more than 27 years of work experience in this industry, having worked both in the private and public sector. A veterinary science postgraduate with an MBA from Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning in 1998. He has led initiatives across the gamut of at the National Dairy Development Board. He is currently posted as the Senior General Manager, Co-operative Sciences at their head office in Anand, Gujarat. It's my pleasure to now call upon Dr. V. Sridhar to address us.
Param, Sister Pooja, thank you very much. Before we start, I would like to place my loving and reverential pranams at Swami's lotus feet. Needless to say, we are all here because of his grace and his blessings. So, what we could do is, I will have a 15-20 minutes presentation, followed by any questions that the participants might like to ask. So we can start off with the presentation and then take the questions. Okay, so in the next 15-20 minutes, I'll be talking about empowering our own rural population through the dairy sector, and what are the actionable insights we can derive for the purpose of this empowerment. Can go to the next slide. So the government has set a target of Viksit Bharat, and I'm sure that all of us subscribe to this vision. And Viksit Bharat is not just a development in the economic sense. It is a development of the entire spectrum of the population, all the marginalized sections of the population, the people who are not very economically well off. They also need to be developed in the true sense in all aspects for us to be calling ourselves as a developed nation by 2047. So the first prerequisite for that would be rejuvenation of rural India, because as you can see from the pie chart there, the urban population that we have in India today is about 31%, and about 69% is the rural population. And the projections say that by 2047, we will have about 50% of the population in the urban areas and 50% in the rural areas. So focusing on rejuvenation of the rural India is quite important for us to ensure that we are a fully developed nation in the true sense. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, when we're talking about rejuvenating rural India, we are looking at that section of the population which needs a lot of focus. And this section is the women, the poor and landless farmers, and also the marginalized communities. As you can see here, you can see that dairying is in the hands of these poor and mostly in the hands of the poor and marginal farmers. The statistics say that nearly 70% of our dairy farmers are poor and landless and marginal. So the focus should be on this section of the population to ensure that we are able to develop them in the true sense. Go for the next slide, please. Now, the developmental models that we adopt as a country, they have to be optimized considering our country's diversity, demographics, and agroclimatic zones. So this is one point where we need to delve upon a lot, because if you look at our own nation, we have more than 10 agroclimatic zones. The agri specialists would know better than me. But if you have different agroclimatic zones, like right from the Gangetic Plains to the deserts to the Deccan Plateau, and also the eastern India, where you have a lot of the mines developed and all that. So the development of models have to be customized for that particular geography, and also you have to look at the diversity and the demographics. Now, when I talk about the diversity, we'll also have to look at the cultural milieu. For example, in the south, you have the population more inclined towards industry, whereas in the northern India, especially if you look at Punjab, Haryana, there the population is even today is more inclined towards agriculture. So, looking at these diverse aspects, our developmental models have to be optimized. The reason I'm making this point is that when we go into the next parts of the presentation, I'll be making a point saying that dairying can be made successful, can be optimized, and can be useful across all these agroclimatic zones and across all the states of the country. Next slide, please. Now, if you look at dairying as an economic activity, this is very, very suited to rural India. We see it's been our experience over the past 3 decades. We have seen that dairying is easily employable, or it can be easily adapted to by even the small and marginal farmers, the big farmers, the large farmers, and also the people who are in between. So we have been seeing that farmers who have 2 to 3 animals also make a decent income from dairying. We've been seeing the very large farms which have been of late coming in. So dairying as an activity can be optimized across geographies, and currently the value of the industry is about 14 lakh crores. And in this 14 lakh crores, the organized sector contributes roughly about 30%. About 3.5 lakh crores comes from organized sector, and when I say the organized sector, it includes both the dairy cooperatives and also the dairy corporates like ITC, Heritage, Hudson, all those big organizations. The future projections for the dairy sector are that it is likely to touch 30 lakh crores by 2030, with the organized sector reaching to 10 lakh crores. So this is an indicator of the fact that dairying is growing at a healthy pace and will likely grow at a healthy pace for the next 10 years. We also have figures, so I have not displayed them here. We also have figures which say that dairying as an activity is likely to be vibrant as a section of the economy is likely to be vibrant for the next 20-25 years. That's because India is home to the largest population of dairy animals. Plus, you are surrounded by those countries which are dairy deficit, and which as of now require a lot of, which depend upon imports of a lot of dairy products. So South Asia, the Middle East, to some extent China, these all are net dairy deficit countries, and that's a very, very good positive for our dairy sector. Currently, dairy contributes about 24% of the agricultural GDP of the country and about 4.5% of our nation's GDP. Now, this is a quite significant factor because we see that progressively, as urbanization happens, as the land holdings are becoming progressively smaller, it's easy for an agricultural farmer to opt for dairying as a significant source of income, because this dairying actually gels in very nicely with the agricultural sector. The system of dairying that we have in our country is that the agricultural crop residues go into feeding of the animals, and the animals, the farmyard manure that is generated on the dairy farm goes back into the agricultural farms. So this is a very nice system of having a circularity in the economy, in the agricultural economy, and it is also proven to be sustainable for us. Currently, the sector provides direct employment to about 8 crore people, which includes the entire organized and unorganized sector. And in the cooperatives, it's about 1.5 to 2 crore people. Next slide, please. Now, when we talk about the dairy sector, we cannot we cannot refrain from referring to the dairy cooperatives. In India, the whole dairy sector actually picked up after the formation of the dairy cooperatives. I'll give you a little peek into the dairy cooperative sector at this juncture. In the early decades of independence, we were a milk deficit nation. And at least I recall when I was young, standing in long queues for getting a liter of milk from the dairy dispensing center in our town. I'm very sure a lot of people of my age would also have experienced a deficit of milk. And slowly this has been taken care of because of the widespread dissemination of the cooperative movement. And now we are in a position wherein you can order a packet of milk by a Blinkit or by any of the quick commerce players. So how have we reached this stage? This has happened because of Operation Flood and because of the widespread rollout of the dairy cooperatives. What happened was in the early years of independence, the then Prime Minister, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri, happened to visit Anand in Gujarat, wherein Amul by that time had already proven itself as a successful brand. It had been in existence for about nearly 15-16 years, and the model of dairy development as well as rural development had been proven. So the then Prime Minister wanted it to be disseminated across the country, and that's how NDDB was formed, the National Dairy Development Board, to replicate this Amul pattern across the country. And this was done over a period of 30 years under the mission called Operation Flood. And then the dairy cooperatives were disseminated throughout the country. And that's how today we have this widespread prevalence of dairy cooperatives. And these cooperatives as an institution are very well suited to the dairy sector and also for the small holder farming system that we have. Because if you, any one of us, most of us have seen villages, and you would have seen the dispersed way the farmers are located. You could see that the farmers produce probably 5 liters of milk, 10 liters of milk in a particular household, and after returning some milk for their consumption, they would have a small surplus, which they go and pour to the local milk cooperative. Now, individually, the farmer is somebody who cannot actually, he has very less bargaining power. So if he wants to purchase any of the inputs needed for dairy farming, or if he wants to opt for veterinary services, he wants to opt for the latest technology, as a person, he or she has very less bargaining power. But once they form a cooperative, that dairy cooperative society in the village has all the powers, is much more empowered, and because of the number of people, they're able to get the benefits of economics of scale. They're able to organize themselves. They have their own computers. They have their own way of handling logistics and all that. So the benefits of the economics of scale kick in. 1 second, please. Can we have the presentation display, please? Yeah. Now, the dairy cooperatives also have this advantage of disseminating the maximum share of the consumer's rupee to the farmers. When I say that, let's say today all of us buy a packet of milk at, let's say, 50 rupees a liter. Nearly 40 rupees is paid back to the farmer as the remuneration for the milk that he has poured. Now, this is one of the highest prices that the primary producer gets anywhere in the world. The spread between what the farmer gets and what the consumer pays is very, very low, or very, very less in case of dairy cooperatives, because these cooperatives are institutions created for the welfare of the members. They're not profit-seeking entities. So they aim to sustain themselves financially. They aim to be professionally run, but all in the interest of the farmers. At this juncture, I would like to flag one particular point, and that is that for the success of any dairy cooperative, we need enlightened political leadership and also professional management. This is very, very important because the dairy cooperatives have not been successful across the spectrum. So we have seen very, very successful dairy cooperatives, for example, Amul, which is got a turnover of 75,000 crores, operates in multiple countries. They're also present in Spain and the US. Very, very successful cooperative and the poster child of the dairy cooperative movement. But we also have smaller cooperatives in other states of India which are not doing very well, and they need their even today depend upon government support and support from NDDB. So, what is the differential factor? What is that factor which makes a cooperative successful? The first and foremost is enlightened political leadership, because all said and done, dairy cooperatives are grassroots level institutions. They are institutions which form from the ground up. So at the village, you have the dairy cooperative society. At the district level, you have a conglomeration of the dairy cooperative societies, which are called a milk union, and all the districts in a state conglomerate together to form an apex dairy federation. All these are democratic societies, and they at each level of this chain, you need enlightened political leadership where the interests of the society are kept foremost. In that case, the society can actually be very successful. Similarly, you'll also need professional management, because in today's age and world where you're talking about AI, you're talking about ML, you're talking about IoT, we need the best professional manpower in all aspects. So you need experts in marketing, purchase, processing, procurement, humanities experts, all of this. So the conglomeration, the partnership between the professional management and enlightened political leadership is a must for success. And this point cannot be I cannot overemphasize that, because that is the success of the dairy, the most critical success factor for the dairy cooperatives. Once we have the presentation back, I'll show the photograph, one iconic photograph, which I would like to share with all of you. Can we have the presentation back, please? Yeah. Now, you can see two gentlemen sitting next to each other, and both are the pioneers of the dairy movement. Yeah. So the person wearing the jacket is Dr. Verghese Kurian, who all of us know is the father of the white revolution in the country. And to his next to him, the person with the Gandhi cap is Mr. Tribhuvan Das Patel, who is actually the chairman of Amul. Dr. Kurian was the general manager, and Mr. Tribhuvan Das Patel was the chairman of Amul. He was the person, a leader in his own right, a staunch Gandhian Congress leader in Anand, Gujarat. And he was the person who stood like a rock behind Dr. Kurian. And he ensured that Dr. Kurian had a free hand. He ensured that the funds needed by Amul were made available. And this person was actually the doyen of the cooperative movement, of the dairy cooperative movement. And today we have many such examples, many such dairies who have professional manpower and also enlightened political leadership, which actually have been doing a lot of service for the dairy cooperatives. So this picture is very, very important for us to keep in mind, because without this, these two, can I say, wheels of the cart cannot go forward. And you can also see the first president of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, laying the foundation stone of Amul's building. This is in the early decades, early years of post-independence. So we have come a long way from that place. Today we are the world's #1 producer of milk. We are self-sufficient in milk, in spite of the population that we have. We are also, I would say, self-sufficient in the dairy technology that is needed to process products. We have the best colleges that are required for churning out good managers. So I think more or less this sector is self-sufficient. But the the most important thing needed as we look forward is the focus on the sector and more awareness of the sector, because it has been contributing, dairies has been growing at a CAGR of 6% over the past 10-15 years, and has been contributing very much to the agricultural economy. Slowly the decision makers, the policy makers are seeing the scope of the sector and trying to focus on this. And if this focus continues, dairy is going to contribute in a much more significant fashion to the rural economy. Can we have the next slide, please? This is an overview of the dairy cooperative network that we have. The first row talks about the state level federations or the apex bodies. So every state has a apex dairy federation. So today we have 22 dairy federations, and then across the country. Then each state would have, at the district level, it would have a milk union. So today we have 241 milk unions operating in various districts of the country. Then we also have the milk producer companies of the milk producer organizations. These are not these are organizations which are not in the cooperative mold, but these are under the Companies Act, Companies Act 2013. But for all practical purposes, they operate like cooperatives, because at some point of time there was a thought in the among the policymakers to see whether the dairy cooperatives could also operate under the company law, because that offers a lot of leeway to the management of the cooperative or the of the organization to take decisions. I'll try to wrap up in a couple of minutes. Currently, the farmers covered is about 1.7 crore farmers. The current procurement in the corporate sector is about 6.6 crore, and targets to reach 10 crore liters in about 5 years' time. And the liquid milk sale is about 4 crore liters per day. 32% of the milk is handled by the organized sector, which includes the cooperatives and the corporates. 68% is still unorganized. So there's a lot of scope for growth here. Next slide, please. At this point, I would like to mention about a very, very successful dairy cooperative in one of the districts of Gujarat called Palanpur. This is one district which is on the borderline of the desert in Rajasthan. And this Banas dairy operates with they procure about 1 crore liters of milk per day from one district, with an annual turnover of 22,000 crores. They have integrated rural development in the true sense that Swami always used to refer to. They have their own medical college, they have their own Sainik school, the school of nursing, and all that. And actually, they've been doing really well in terms of developing the rural economy in that district. The final slide, please. Okay, the way forward would be to integrate the aspects of environmental sustainability, focus on exports, get in technology in terms of traceability, reducing drudgery on the farm with more of mechanization, attract talent in various areas of dairying. And so you need a lot of engineers, MBAs, humanities professionals, dairy technologists, food technologists, etc. So with this, I will end my talk. Thanks to Swami for this opportunity. Yeah, I'm ready to take questions now.
So thank you for setting the context and laying the foundation for all of us. Just to build on what you had just shared, building anything that is sustainable, like cooperatives that we were just speaking about, takes a lot of effort, right? And in this sector itself, in the dairy sector, there are many cooperatives that have been successful. Some have not been as successful. But what are the governance practices that have, because especially when we're working in the developmental sector with like smaller groups, SHGs, and then when you come to like a scale of cooperatives, it becomes very difficult managing trust, managing transparency. So how are the cooperatives able to manage that?
Basically, the crux of any successful cooperative enterprise is volumes. So any successful cooperative should have some amount of break-even volume. When I say volume, amount of milk procured, be viable. Because dairying is a low-margin, high-volume business. So volumes are most important, and volumes come in from membership. So the more number of members, the more amount of milk that's coming in, and that's where the volumes come in. So first is to have more number of members. Number two would be professional management. So you need people who understand dairying, who understand how to handle a perishable commodity like milk. That's where you have the dairy technologists coming in. You need quality control specialists to see that the quality parameters are adhered to. Then you need people who understand processing, and also the marketing specialists. So those products which have a demand in a particular market, in a particular geography, have to only to be manufactured, and then obviously you need the management people and all that. So the success factors are a mix of all this. Number one, members. Number 2, volumes. Number 3, products which cater to the market. Number 4, professional management. And obviously the enlightened the political leadership, which actually runs the entire organization.
Okay, we have quite a few questions on the chat. So we will just pick the first one that had come in. To what extent has NDDB been successful in replicating the Amul model across the country?
Okay, so NDDB has been in existence for about 60 years now, and over the past 60 years, actually NDDB is an organization which got Operation Flood rolling. So over a period of from 1970 to 1995, there are 3 phases of Operation Flood, all implemented by NDDB. So today, NDDB can rightfully take the credit for the vital revolution in the country. After that, after the 1995, NDDB also came out with a perspective plan and also the national dairy plan, which was run till about 2020. And NDDB even today is handholding cooperatives in terms of managerial expertise, in terms of technical expertise, in terms of professional training, in terms of synergizing with government. So NDDB is basically that organization which thinks and also acts and help the cooperatives act and be successful. So we are, I would say, not only think tank, but we are also operational people, because we have the operational expertise to ensure that the cooperatives in various states are successful.
The next question is about Amul. It is operational in US and Spain as well as in other countries. But are there also cooperatives of local farmers? Or is the Amul a corporate entity for marketing and value-added products only in those countries?
Regarding Amul's operations in US and Spain, they just launched about a couple of months back. The US, they have a processing facility, and I think they are also working with the farmers there. But in India, Amul operates predominantly out of Gujarat, but they also have operations in other states. And recently, they have formed a separate cooperative for those called the Sardar Patel Dairy Cooperative Federation for the operations of Amul outside Gujarat. So, and Amul obviously is the trendsetter and the flagship for the cooperative movement in the country.
The next is 68% still being unorganized came as a surprise. What are the challenges of bringing this unorganized sector into the organized sector?
Basically, as I said, it's about membership. So, in spite of nearly 5-6 decades of the dairy cooperative movement in the country, membership is still an area where we are yet to work upon. So, if you look at the states in Eastern India, the dairy cooperative movement is yet to take roots. In Western India, yes, you have successful cooperatives in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all this. But the eastern sector, there is a lot of scope for development. Also, the northeast states. That's where you find that there's a lot of work needed. So, 68% is there. Fortunately, we have the government, both the central governments and the state governments, who are aware of this, and they're putting a lot of efforts. So we hope that in the next 5 to 10 years, this unorganized sector share would come down a little, and the organized sector would go up to nearly 50%. So it'd be 50-50 in not a couple of years, probably in about 10 years time from now.
Is there cutthroat competition which tries to eat into one another's share, or are both the sectors trying to bring the unorganized sector under this purview, both corporates and cooperatives?
Being an MBA myself, I would say that competition is always good for any industry, because that brings out the best in everyone. It forces any organization to be more efficient. It unlocks hidden opportunities. So competition is always to be welcomed. Now, whether it's cutthroat or not depends upon the strategies that are adopted by the organization. So, no, you always have this option of creating new markets, new segments are measured. in other countries versus what we would like them to be measured. So I think there is a lot of scope for discussion there, and I'm sure that the negotiations will happen, and there'll be a level playing field for all the farmers.
One question that we had earlier was related to livestock, and because you were talking about integrated farming, so livestock integrated livelihood model seems to be a great model for our kind of economy, which is agri-rural economy. Why is it that only organizations like BAIF promote it?
You mentioned BIF. BIF is basically BIF, as we call it, Bharatiya Agro-Industrial Foundation, a great organization founded by one of the Gandhians and headquartered out of Pune. They've been doing a great job. BIF is one of the well-known organizations operating in this space, but there are multiple organizations. And in this sector, you'll see that every state has its own organization. There have been many organizations which are operating, probably not as well-known as BIF. And also with the help of the World Bank, with the help of Japanese International Cooperation Agency, which is called JICA, many organizations have been working, many state governments have been working. NDDB is helping the state governments to roll out rural development programs, dairy development programs, along with JICA, World Bank, and the state government, central government. So there are multiple programs. I can share it offline.
What is the role of Ministry of Cooperatives vis-a-vis NDDB? Are they overlaps? Are they complementary?
The Ministry of Cooperation is, I would say, a great development for the cooperative sector, because this was formed about 4 years back, and earlier cooperation was one department under the Agricultural Ministry. Now they have a separate ministry headed by none other than the Honorable Home Minister. So this has come as a boon for the cooperative movement, because now they're looking at it in a very focused manner. So they're not only just looking at the dairy cooperatives, they're looking at the fishery cooperatives, they're looking at the cooperative banks, they're looking at the primary agricultural credit cooperative societies. Then they're also roping in organizations like NABARD and NDDB and NFDB. So they're actually created a much more focused approach to the entire cooperative movement. So NDDB being a premier organization, the dairy cooperatives, we actually work closely with the Ministry of Cooperation, which is a much more bigger and umbrella body. So it's basically complementary, and we have been working very closely with each other.
Can a similar approach, such as dairy cooperatives model, be applied to other perishables like fruits and vegetables? It will help.
Yes, very much, Pooja, because NDDB has its own wholly owned subsidiary called Mother Dairy Fruit and Vegetable Private Limited. So it's not just dairy, but it's also fruit and vegetables. They have significant operations across states. So they not only they get in a lot of fruits. So it could be mangoes, which is sourced from the farmers, a remunerative price paid to the farmers. Then mangoes are converted into jellies, jams, all that. Then vegetables, Mother Dairy has its own outlets called Safal outlets. Then they also operate with oil seeds. So Dhara Oil is again a cooperative brand which is owned by NDDB through its subsidiary Mother Dairy. Dhara is a very famous brand of edible oil in the eastern India. But then you also have fruit and vegetables being done by the private corporates, by the corporate sector. So you have Nature's Basket and others also, which operate more or less like a cooperative with a focus on farmers more and more. So we have multiple initiatives, and fruit and vegetables are very tricky and very challenging, but can be done, similar to the dairy approach.
Are these farmers in dairy sectors covered under the direct benefit transfer schemes like Kisan Yojanas?
I would at this juncture be happy to inform all of you that the payment to the farmers in most of the cooperatives is always 100% DBT. So the money goes 3 times a month into the accounts of the farmers. So it's called as DBT or direct benefit transfer. This has been made possible by the banking initiative of the government. I don't recollect what is that? Accounts. There's something.
Jan Dhan Yojana.
Jan Dhan Yojana. So every person in India was asked to open a bank account, and that has been actually the base now, wherein we have been able to do 100% DBT in most of the dairies across the country, and many of them do at least 80%, 70% of direct benefit transfer. Cash handling has really come down, and with the UPI exploding, and with even UPI with the UPI transfers happening across the country, this has actually taken a big leap forward.
Okay, so Brother Sathya, can you ask your question directly to?
Thanks, Sridhar. This has been a fantastic session. So my interest is more to know from the I know that there's a great benefit of this, of vyastis or individuals coming together as a samashti. So there is prosperity happening, there is security for all. Taking a step higher at the srishti level, I want to want you to comment a little bit about the sustainability part. Are there sustainability issues? We keep hearing, you did speak about the methane emissions, yes, but are there any movements that are coming to counter this aspect? Are there environmentalists speaking against the dairy industry? We hear so much about that in the US. Is that true in India too?
Actually, sustainability would be a major factor to be considered when you scale up. Luckily for us, not only NDDB but also the government of India and also the state governments are working on various aspects to make dairying more sustainable. The biggest initiative I would like to mention here is the bio CNG or the bio CBG. They call it as the compressed biogas. This is biogas which is produced from the dung. NDDB has developed three models. One is at the village level, wherein the dung which is generated on a small dairy farm is harnessed with a small biogas setup and used as a replacement for LPG. That actually replaces the LPG cylinder in the homes. So this is called a village model. And then we have the next model, which is the industrial scale model. So wherein you have the dairy plants which run on the CBG. So instead of using furnace oil for the boilers, or instead of using any other fossil fuels, the plants would run on CBG. So that's where the circularity comes in. And then at the macro level, we are also we have got something called a Varanasi model, wherein we aggregate the manure from all the dairy farmers, and like the milk, the manure is also aggregated, and then it's converted into CBG or compressed biogas, which is basically a replacement for the conventional LNG or CNG, conventional CNG. So CNG is replaced by CBG, and then we are working with Suzuki. Actually, NDDB and Maruti Suzuki have a joint venture company called NDDB Mrida Limited with Suzuki's partnership, and we are actually trying to run vehicles on compressed biogas. So so this is already in place. We have done 4 to 5 pilots, and now the CBG would be we call them a cascade. So instead of having a CNG cylinder at the back of your car, you'll have a CBG cylinder, and then the cars will run on it. And that's where not only Maruti, but we are also talking to the bigger players in the automobile industry, and I'm sure that in the next 5 to 10 years, you will hear a lot on this initiative, and that's going to make our own automotive sector also very green. To summarize, 3 levels we are working. One is at the village level, where you are replacing the LPG cylinders. Then you at the plant level, you are replacing the fossil fuels, and at the macro level, you are actually trying to replace go green with the CBG.
Brilliant. Thank you,
yeah, and then one more thing, we are trying to go in for organic fertilizers, because once you have the gas generated from the dung, what is left out is called slurry. That is processed into organic fertilizers by addition of DAP, rock phosphate, and all that. That goes as organic fertilizers. So completely green, completely circular.
Wow. Brilliant.
We have another question regarding how rural areas today still lack some social indicators or lag behind in some social indicators such as low school attendance, high dropouts, malnutrition, and child marriage, etc. There is high disparity between the economic and social indicators in Gujarat, even though the dairy cooperative has been very successful over there. So how do they play a role socially?
I'm glad you asked this, Sai Puja, because we have another initiative called the Gift Milk Program, which is basically addressing the issue of malnourishment in among the kids in schools, predominantly government schools. So, as you mentioned rightly, we have this issue of undernourishment and malnourishment among the school children, and also the non-school going children. So, what the policymakers are looking at is, once the dairy sector grows in leaps and bounds, the additional milk or the surplus milk is not only sent to the urban areas for satisfying the needs of liquid milk, the demand of liquid milk and milk products, but also channelized back into the rural areas in terms of gift milk. So we are actually talking to a lot of corporates, and there is a very recent development wherein at the secretary level of the government of India, the interest has come in, wherein the corporates have been requested to partner with their CSR funds. So we are trying to onboard the big corporates in the country, and so that the CSR funds can come in. The milk is collected from both the corporate sector and the cooperatives, and channelized towards the needy, the needy children and lactating mothers, undernourished population, and all that. So I think we are trying to actually look at channelizing the surplus to the areas of deficit, or from the surplus to the needy people.
Another question is, we are the largest producer of milk, but at the same time, we are also one of the most protein deficient population. How do we explain this?
Okay, I will. In one of his discourses, he said that protein can come in from multiple sources. It can come in from milk and can from. I'll quote him. He said in Telugu, "Bedalu." Bedalu is pulses. So, so we have multiple sources for even if we cannot call ourselves as a purely vegetarian country, but lacto-vegetarianism also, in my view, takes care of a lot of protein needs. So. As somebody who has studied, I'm a nutritionist, animal nutritionist. So we know that there are multiple sources of protein available to the both the vegetarian population, non-vegetarian population. So I think that book is due. I agree with you on that.
Okay, that was a lot of questions. Thank you for patiently answering all of those, brother. It's been truly an enriching session for all of us, and for a sector which is sustaining the livelihoods of countless of farmers and entrepreneurs across the country. So thank you so much for taking the time, answering patiently, and going through all of our. I think you've answered almost all of the questions, and those questions that have not been answered will direct to you after this session, so that maybe we could respond to them separately. Um, a big thank you to the organizing team for making this possible today, and for supporting and creating the space that has allowed to have these important conversations. And thank you to the audience for asking such engaging questions that made this session all the more enjoyable. So, with that, we would like to end today's session. Any other?
On my behalf, I would like to first thank Swami for putting this idea in all our heads, that we should have such type of talks, because I'm very sure they're very, very useful to not only the currently serving people, but also the future workforce that is coming in. I also thank the organizers who have been very, very patient, holding our hands and actually taking us through these sessions. Thank you, Pooja, for being a great host, being very patient while hosting the session. And also thanks to all the listeners for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Sai Ram.